Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Phil Wade from Dalton Wade Real Estate Group. I'm here with Claren today. She's nice enough to come to the training, and today we're going to talk about negotiating the home inspection. You've worked long and hard with your client. You had a difficult negotiation. You finally got them under agreement, and next is the home inspection. So you want to kind of make sure as best you can, to not have the home inspection, have your transaction go south. So, there's some things that you can do to sort of help yourself with that, and we're going to kind of review them today. So again, as always, there's two sides to everything in real estate. There's working with a buyer and then working with a seller. We're going to talk about the buyer side today. So if you're working with a buyer, you're going to want to try to negotiate as long as possible the home inspection, 15 days. If you can't get that, then 10 days. Sometimes the seller will press, for less, but again, your goal is to, give your client enough time to get through it. Then get the home inspection scheduled, or have your client get it scheduled as quickly as possible, so you have as much time, to kind of go through it. You always want to attend the home inspection, and you always want your client there. I know sometimes we might be working with out-of-state buyers that can't be there, then you have to go as their eyes and ears, but you always need to be there, and it's always advisable that your client is there. Then when the inspection is done, meaning you're still physically at the property, but the home inspector has done his thing, you want him to give you a summary or kind of a wrap up. I mean, kind of our main inspector, he does that, as a matter of course. That's the last thing. He kind of takes you through, the highlights or the lowlights, and then, you kind of know at that point, what, if any, issues there are. Then you want to get the actual report. Typically, most inspectors will get it out in 24 hours. And then you want to go through it with your client and kind of come up with, what they're looking for. And again, educating your client so that, when you actually viewed the house, and we talk about this in the training, you looked at the roof, you looked at the electrical box, you looked at the windows, you looked at the AC, you've looked at the major components, and you've hopefully had your client look at them so that if anything does come out of those areas, they were aware of it, and they're not looking to sort of renegotiate the deal based on things they already know. The next thing is, a lot of times you'll finish the home inspection, and the listing agent will start calling you, asking you like, what's up, what'd you find? There's a tendency to start to tell them, but again, you don't want to be negotiating the inspection piecemeal, meaning like, oh, we negotiated these couple items, but now my client wants this. That's just a recipe for failure. So you want to just tell the listing agent that you're going to get them a list of what the client is looking for, if anything, and it'll come over as one email. We've also talked about this again. The tendency for the buyer is to want things fixed, because obviously they're going into the house and don't want to be buying a house that has things wrong with it. Things fixed potentially can lead to problems down the road, in that how they got fixed, what got fixed, can cause some issues. I've seen it happen at the final walkthrough where the buyer thought one thing. Again, the seller's looking to get out of there as cheaply as possible. So often it's better to do a closing cost credit. It's safer, easier. There can be no confusion. Then your client can, has the money to fix the things and can kind of fix them, the way they like. The next thing is, if your client is FHA or VA, there's going to be another inspection by the FHA VA appraiser. It's not a home inspection. They're just looking for certain items. It's not nearly as thorough as a home inspection, but it does happen. So again, kind of knowing what those items are. Obviously, you've had to negotiate the main home inspection first, but possibly some other items could come out of the FHA VA inspection. But again, you should kind of know what all those are. The roof has to be greater than 3 years, no wood rot, chipped paint, broken windows, cracked flooring, safety violations. Those are the main things they pick up on. And again, it is really up to up to the inspector. So again, you kind of know this is all coming, so you always want to be thinking about, okay, how can I negotiate this to a positive conclusion so that you're able to go forward and you don't get hung up in the home inspection. Really educating your buyer both as they're making their offer and then at the home inspection, is very important. So again, as I mentioned, anything you can see that possibly is coming up in that inspection, you want to point out to your client prior to the home inspection. That way they already know about it, no surprise, they factored into their offer, excuse me. Again, they're not buying a new house. Sometimes buyers, they take that home inspection and they want every item done. That's not really fair, and that's probably not going to happen. And in a seller's market, which we're in, there's no guarantee that the seller is going to really do anything for the buyer. They may, but they may not. There are certain things typically that, termites, rodents, those type of things typically is kind of on the seller. Anything else obviously is negotiable, but hopefully, you've been able to negotiate it, to a positive conclusion, meaning, everybody's agreed. You've either agreed to, a credit, or you've agreed to some repair items. And then you've documented that and you're able to move forward. You document that in an addendum. So it's really, again, just as the agent, we know what's coming. We need to be one step ahead of everyone. We need to educate our client as to kind of maybe, some issues with the house, and then, continue to sort of, help them through the inspection. On the seller side, again, it's the opposite. You want to negotiate a shorter, home inspection. You don't want 15 days if you can, get the person. I mean, again, if it's a condo, you may need the time to get all the documents and what have you. But a single-family home, really, in 10 days, they should be able to get the home inspector out there. That's enough time. All it's doing, is keeping your property off the market with, the chance that that buyer's gonna back out. I put this in, like if I'm the listing agent and there's a home inspection, I don't go. I stand around for 3 hours. I got better things to do with my time. Maybe I'll pop in and say hello and meet the buyer, but I'm certainly not hanging there the entire time. I have seen, listing agents do it. I don't know. Personally, to me, it's a waste of time. They're gonna find what they're gonna find, and they're gonna get you, the report and kind of what they're looking for. Again, you need to prepare your seller. That stuff probably might come out of the home inspection. And again, everybody being reasonable, I kind of talked about, termites, rodents. There's certain things, non-grounded, electrical, galvanized plumbing, things that buyer could never have seen, probably are up for discussion. And again, if you've prepared your seller that maybe some things might come out of it, or, they haven't gone right to their breaking point, so they've got nothing left in terms of, being able to give the buyer anything, coming out of the inspection, you've got a better shot, for it coming, to a positive ending. Again, if you're the seller's agent and then, you're going with an FHA VA buyer, you should be pretty confident that, the property is going to get through that inspection. Again, that inspection is not as thorough as a home inspection. They're looking for certain things that we've talked about in this training and in other trainings. You should know what those things are. If anybody needs the FHA VA appraiser checklist, I have a copy of that. So again, as the listing agent, you should be knowledgeable enough of like what they're going to look for, so that no surprises come out of that. Again, work with your client, work with the buyer's agent, and kind of come to a successful conclusion and then document it. So that's that's again, it's just being prepared in advance kind of makes it all go smooth. But the big takeaways are kind of negotiating it in one swoop, not sort of asking for a few things and asking that doesn't go over well. So any questions, Claren? Any questions? Any questions in Periscope land?
No.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hopefully your next home inspection goes a lot smoother.